Freo proves itself the real deal out west. The Crows win a cliffhanger in Ballarat, and the Power finally on the board for season 2022. Hello and welcome to the round so far, brought to you by AAMI. I'm Riley Beveridge. This is Kane Corns. Kane will start tonight at Optus Stadium because Fremantle needed to have a statement win this season, and they got it against the Blues.
I wasn't sure about them coming in. I'm sure about them now. What a performance it was. These are the sort of final stages. Switkowski was amazing. Their small forwards were all incredible. There's a bit of Richmond, dare I say it, about this side as we see the siren go there. The ball absolutely lived in their forward half tonight, 56 to 38 entries. I thought their pressure, particularly in the front half of the ground, was just enormous. And such an even performance. Like Carlton had 3 players over 30 possessions. Freo had none. Yeah. But across the board, the even contribution of some of their players really stands out. It's exactly what you'd want if you're a Freo supporter.
5-1 on the season now. The Blues move to 4-2. It's a similar story to what we've seen in the past under David Teague from Carlton. These lapses in concentration defensively. They conceded 7 of 8 goals tonight, and Lachie Schultz took advantage for the most
part. Have a look at this poor defending. Like slow, held up ball outside 50, and Saad has a brain fade there. He expects a teammate to come up and cover off. They don't do that. That's pretty simple sort of defending from a slow ball outside 50. This is the second smallest player on the ground, Lachie Schultz, and he took 3 marks inside 50 and kicked 2 goals in this quarter. Like, who is responsible for him, and why hasn't anyone gone and stood on him? Look at little signals, little signs, fall over, bang, another easy lead-up mark inside 50, and this is the last one. So, look, he's a really crafty, nifty forward. He had a massive night. 9 score involvements, you'll see him drift across there. Once again, no one numbers off. This is the thing that really frustrates me about modern footy is that defenders don't plant anyone anymore. They guard zones and they guard space. It is the biggest cop-out, and it cost Carlton tonight, and that's the reason why they've had round 2, 5 of 6 goals kicks against them. Hawthorn kicked 6 straight. Gold Coast kicked 6 of 7. Port Adelaide last week nearly won from 50 points down at half-time, and Freo kicked 8 of 9 goals tonight. So they're doing a lot right, Michael Voss, but that's an area it's pretty easy to tidy up, but it stood out tonight.
Haven't been able to stop those opposition momentum swings for a long time. The Dockers moved to 5-1. It's a pretty good indicator of playing finals footy when you win at least 5 of your first 6 games. So since 2010, 34 teams have won 5 or more from their first 6. 32 of them have made finals. 24 have made the top 4. And the premiers have come from that bracket 8 of the last 12
Are you a believer?
Years. In the Dockers, definitely. I mean, Nat Fyfe comes back. They've got Heath Chapman and Hayden Young back from the COVID protocols next week. But I still think they've got more improvement in them. I mean, you look at Nat Fyfe to come. That's a very good player coming into that side.
I'm prone to making big statements, but is their back 6 the best in the comp? So look at it, unheralded, but go through it. Pearce, gun. Cox is a start. Ryan's already an All-Australian. Logue is an up-and-comer who was terrific tonight in part on Charlie Curnow. Young and Chapman didn't play tonight. They will come back, as you said. 2 of the better young defenders in the game. So I reckon that stacks up with the best of them. I looked tonight, Taberner kicked 7 last week and was really important, kicks 1. So this is the evenness that I'm talking about tonight, and all of a sudden Rory Lobb stands up and kicks 3 and you have those small forwards. So they remind me a lot of what Richmond did for that sort of 4-year, 5-year window where they built a dynasty. I'm not saying they're going to be Richmond, but their game looks to be built on similar methods and philosophies.
An incredibly cohesive unit under Justin Longmuir. Have a look at this incident during the game, Nick Newman and Rory Lobb, because we've put this on the agenda a couple of times this year after the Paddy Ryder incident. Does Nick Newman have anything to worry about here?
I don't think so, but this is the confusion. We put Nan Curvis on the agenda last week, so there isn't much in that at all. And the fact that Lobb got up and wasn't concussed, but he braced for contact, like Paddy Ryder did on Will Day, and Lobb went off with his mouth smashed up with the blood rule. So the fact that he wasn't concussed, he'll get off, but they'll definitely have a little glance at it, I would think.
I think they've got to find out as well. If it was bracing action, they think it's a
Can I
bump
just say I don't want him suspended for that?
Yeah.
But I'm saying previous incidents that means they have to look at it.
A couple of big injuries to Ruckman tonight as well. Mark Pitney subbed out of the game with a knee injury, and Sean Darcy lost to concussion, so he will miss next week as well. We'll head to Ballarat now, where Adelaide got over the line by a solitary point against the Western Bulldogs. There were some massive moments in this last quarter.
Oh, this is a huge win for Adelaide. Like, if last week was big against Richmond, to build on that and do this. So you saw Dunkley there, and this is just a brain fade from Caleb Daniel. Look, 2 minutes 40, I'm not sure when you're chasing a lead why you would even go to that pocket. Lachie Gallant finds Tex uncontested in the pocket, and he ices the game. He was enormous once again, Taylor Walker, and when a lot of his teammates, 7:15 or 8:15 there, you can see the score, were missing, he would not. Now, they had their moments. Bont kicks that with about 10 seconds to go, went back to the centre bounce, didn't leave them enough time. But what a win for Adelaide now, 3-3. They've lost a couple of close ones as well in the season. They're far more advanced in their rebuild than I thought they would be right now.
So they've lost 2 games by under a kick. They win 1 today, so that's awesome. We mentioned Josh Rochelle and his work rate late in the last quarter of last week's victory over Richmond. Have a look at this from Ned McHenry today. Another moment where he works hard at the ground and gets a crucial
He works hard, but it's more of a poor defending from the Western Bulldogs. So Duray's his direct opponent. This is in the dying stages of the game. Duray's trying to be the spare behind the ball and cover off, but he does nothing. So McHenry, really smart, small forward, comes up and then drifts back and takes an easy uncontested mark. This is my point about defending. No one plays on each other anymore. So Duray had to go up to him, cover off at the stoppage, force his teammates to defend one-on-one if they have to, because in the end, he's in no man's land, does nothing. Ned McHenry misses that. Caleb Daniel brings the ball back in, turns it over, and that's where Taylor Walker kicked that goal.
Adelaide's averaged 12 intercept marks per game going into this game. They had 26 today. There were some massive numbers here. Tom Duday takes 5, Billy Frampton 4, Jordan Butts 3.
Couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, every time the Western Bulldogs went inside 50, Adelaide marked it. Like, so they've doubled their average for intercept marks. So there was some incredible performance. Best game Billy Frampton that man has ever played, and seems to have found a home after, questions whether he would actually make it. Duday was great and had to be because Sloan is out. So he's got to stand up. And it wasn't just one player. Like, Jordan Butts was good one-on-one against Norton. Riley O'Brien is one of the best in the competition at doing it and has done it for a long time. So there's a bit of the Bulldogs just being completely uncompetitive, and there's a fair bit about Adelaide forcing the pressure, slowing the ball movement down, forcing the long kick down the line. And what Melbourne have done so well is slowing the opposition ball movement up so they can play safe and intercept the ball and then get their game going off that.
Where do you think the Bulldogs are at? 2-4 in the season now. What's their goal for the rest of the year?
Well, this is the biggest story of the year for me. So forget Port Adelaide, forget Essendon. The Western Bulldogs played in the grand final last year. So since half-time of the grand final, how badly has things gone for the Western Bulldogs? I've heard whinging about teams singing their songs. I've seen Luke Beveridge blow up in press conferences. I've seen their players be uncompetitive, losing contested footy 5 out of the 6 games. I see their midfielders chasing kicks but not chasing the opposition when they've got it. So they're in a world of hurt. They kept to 43 entries today and 8 goals against a side that was bottom 4 last year.
Can they turn it around?
Well, I was so confident that they would, and I saw signs through the year that they might. Their forward line started to look like it was going to function again, but Bontempelli starts forward, couldn't influence the game today. So, yeah, I'm starting to question it. I think there's more going on at that footy club that needs to be looked into, and it's not just on field. There's some stuff clearly that has been in the spotlight off field, but yeah, they're a big story and probably the biggest disappointment through the first 6 weeks.
Keep a watch on the Dogs over the next month. We'll get to our AAMI clangers now. We love Jack Higgins. He was awesome again on Friday night. Not sure about the celebrations though.
Oh, he's a skinny man, and he's getting up and he's doing the Incredible Hulk. Is that what he's doing? You're more up with the modern sort of memes. Is that what he's trying to intimidate? But poor old security guard, cold in Canberra. He's got the beanie on, and you don't need that halfway through the last quarter. But he took it like a champ. We need another closer look at this.
Didn't even flinch.
Bang, straight on the head.
And I haven't seen an interchange infringement quite like this for some time today. West Coast had 3 off, had 4 come on. You see the emergency umpire rush out here and say, hold on, I've noticed a 19th player on the field for the Eagles, and off comes Willie Rioli. Very late, but gets there.
Been hard on the umps this year. Credit to that emergency umpire. Absolutely on the money, concentrating, and got it right, because they could have been a disaster. They could have been playing with 19 for a while.
We'll stay at the Adelaide Oval now. West Coast might have needed 19 at times today because Port Adelaide ran over the top of them, won by 14 goals in the end, 84 points to finally get on the board. Yeah,
they looked like they were sort of enjoying their footy again. And it was summed up in this piece of play here. This is the best piece of play Port Adelaide have had all year. So streaming through the middle of the ground. Not a lot of pressure from the Eagles, must be said. Pau Pepper's just been huge for them, not numbers-wise, but he gives effort regardless of the score, and he has done all year. And then they got their run back. Like, they've struggled to score for the majority of the year, and then an absolute bullet from Motlop to Todd Marshall, who kicked 5 the second time he's done that. And so just, yes, it was West Coast. Yes, they're going to win the wooden spoon and a lot of teams are going to beat up on the Eagles this year. But there were small signs. It was good to see Ken Hinkley have a smile, Kane Farrell come back in from a knee injury, and the players look to be enjoying themselves.
7-0 in that second quarter really blew the game apart. One man who was a massive part of that was Connor Rozee. He is our Saturday star. Has played in the midfield for the last couple of weeks, Kane. Had 32 disposals, 8 clearances, 7 marks, 5 tackles, 2 goal assists today. His 32 touches were a career high, previous best of 24.
Yeah, and so he's played a quarter and a half in the midfield, and he's been their best player. So just leave him there, and he's finding out how easy it is to run around in the midfield with no one on you. And contrast that with trying to be a small forward to start your career. It's so difficult. So he's going to be an absolute weapon for them. I thought his ball use was terrific. You mentioned the 8 clearances. He's always high in score involvements. Have a look at this. So the speed, and I don't even know that he knows how good he can be yet. He's going to break away, and when everyone's looking for an Isaac Heaney type, he can be that front of centre player there. But you're seeing that, you want to highlight these numbers.
Yeah, so he had 7 centre bounce attendances from the first 4 weeks of the season. He's had 29 in the last fortnight. And you can see the disposal numbers go up, you can see the clearance numbers go up. Compare that to last year where he was averaging just under 3 centre bounce attendances a game. It just goes to show the impact he can have. He went into the centre bounce second half of last week. They nearly overturned a 50-point deficit. Goes in there the whole game today and they win by 84 points.
Subtle changing of the guard. So Hayes just plays now because Lycett's out, so he's going to get a good 10-week run at it. I thought he was really good today, albeit Nat Nui wasn't there. Butters starts on ball, Rozee starts on ball, Drew's there, Boak shifted to half forward, albeit Travis Boak came in and had big numbers today. Feels like just a little subtle changing of the age demographic on ball, and that was all the talk pre-season, so I'm not sure why it took them 5 weeks to get that right.
Robbie Gray goes off with a jarred knee, and more issues for West Coast. Elliot Yeo concussed in that one. We'll head to Manuka Oval on Friday night, where the Saints kept rolling 5-1 on the season now with a big victory over the Giants. And have a look at this. These are some players having their career best season. So Josh Battle's gone back. Jade Gresham's come back from a long-term injury. Jack Higgins and Max King are just about all Australian forwards at the moment. And Jack Sinclair is another one I want to highlight through the midfield.
Terrific, yeah. And Mackenzie's been huge as well. Thought he was great again. So all of a sudden, your bottom 10 players, not that they're their bottom 10, but they start to look like genuine AFL players. You contrast that with the Giants. Their bottom 10 look pretty ordinary. And still some good news, like you mentioned Fremantle and their ins to come back in. Scott Billings, Clark Caulfield, Geary Jones and Ryder will return this week, which is handy because I'm not sure Marshall will get up. Who knows about Dan Hanbury, maybe put a line through him. But they got some good depth, and from 5-1, you read out the stats. You don't miss the finals, but big game against Port Adelaide in Cairns this week.
It's a massive game. Jack Higgins, we love what he's been able to do. I've already highlighted him today. 14 goals in his last 4. Watch this. He gets out the back better than anyone, I reckon, in the competition at the moment. Is it cheating or is it just smart?
It's a bit of both, but this is just poor defending. So Taylor's there at that moment. He's either, if he goes, you've got to impact. Like it's happy days for a small forward. Taylor goes, doesn't impact. Easy goal out the back. So as I said last week, he sniffs the turnover quicker than any small forward in the game. So this one, I reckon's cheating. So, this is a kick here from Canelio, goes inside to Whitfield. It's actually a good kick, but one of the Giants, 100 errors that they made during the third quarter on Friday night. And he's gone, even though the Giants probably should have had that mark and they would have been away. So I'm not critical of it because, as I said with Rozee, it is the hardest position to play on the ground and you have to get your rewards. He's getting his, another 4 goals, 14 goals for the season, and I would think in the All-Australian squad right now.
He's had 25 scoring shots from his last 5 games, so he's certainly getting his opportunities. The Giants 1-5 on the season now, and for so much of Friday night, they only had themselves to blame.
Well, they were so good for a half. Look at the score here, the third quarter. They're up by 10 points. Bruce takes a mark outside 50 and misses an unpressured handball for 2 metres. Now, that went down and scored a goal. Lockie Keefe here. Can you handball with your right hand or do you have to handball left hand? Turn over handball to no one. There's another goal. Look at the scores here. So the easy, unpressured handball mistakes. Now, yes, St Kilda's pressure was very good and it's been very good all year, but Steen there, like that is not AFL standard. And a lot of these weren't AFL standard. It is so deflating. Happened time and time again. Like that's just, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It feels like the group's sort of falling apart a little bit.
Well, speaking of that, Leon Cameron said it a couple of weeks ago that he'd put contract talks on hold until the end of the season. They're 1-5 now. How do you see this playing out from here?
Well, not well, do you? But can I just say he's been outstanding, Leon, and sometimes it just ends because time gets you, and in the end you've been a great coach, but it's time to freshen the place up and get a different game style and philosophy in there. And the minute you put your contract talks on hold, or the club does, and you're 1-5, it's a bit of trouble. So hopefully they don't completely capitulate, because second half looked like they did a little bit on Friday night.
They're in the grand final 3 years ago.
I know, and they were terrific last year.
Yeah.
With all the challenge that they've had. The one thing Leon's never had is a full complement of players, I don't reckon. Even when they made the grand final, like they were smashed with injuries, and it was an incredible effort to get there. So I just think he's been outstanding, Leon, and has carried himself very well.
Jack Hayes, a likely ruptured ACL, which is horrible news for him because he'd had such a promising start to his St Kilda career. But Brett Ratton saying afterwards that it's likely they will extend him.
How good's that? Like,
which is good.
It's good to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to hear. All right, we'll head to the rest of the round now, because it's going to be a massive Sunday night with Anzac Eve football, Richmond v Melbourne. But there's 2 games before that, North Melbourne and Geelong, and Gold Coast plays Brisbane in the Q Clash.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Anzac Day footy on Monday. 2 more games, Hawthorn, Sydney and Collingwood, Essendon.
Can we get another upset? There's no way I would have predicted Adelaide to beat the Dogs today. So you wouldn't think North Melbourne beat Geelong, but no Dangerfield. So who knows? And can Hawthorn make a really good account of himself like they did last week? There's a couple of ripping games on Monday, so looking forward to the rest of the round.
Some huge inclusions for the Bombers as well. Jake Stringer and Zach Merritt
Couldn't believe Merritt.
quicker than expected.
They said 8 weeks, he got up in 3.
Yeah, good on him. We'll head to our one more thing now, and how great was this to see Kane at the Optus Stadium? 103-year-old World War II veteran Arthur Leggett recites the Ode of Remembrance. This was awesome.
This is what makes the round so special. And there's a bit of debate, should every game have the celebrations, or should it just be for the Anzac Day game on Anzac Day? But that's why you have it across every state, across every game. It was a really special moment.
Plenty more to come on afl.com.au. A big Monday, starts with Access All Areas, finishes with AFL Exchange. Kane, massive week this week. It's going to be bigger next week, Saturday night on the round so far.